What was the most soul-crushing thing someone told you? How can she be my wife? I have no idea who she is, said my husband of 8 years after a bad car wreck and 4 weeks in a coma. He lost about 12 years of memories, including our whole relationship. We got divorced 2 years after as his memory never returned. My husband and I took our teenage son and his friend, I'll call him Alex, to an amusement park recently. My husband is a really funny guy and was making both boys laugh on the car ride home. Alex told my husband, "You're really funny, Mr. D. You remind me of my dad, except your jokes aren't hurtful." My mum once told me you wouldn't be a very good mother. Your sister would be much better. I always loved and worked with children. My sister is more of an animal person. It crushed me because I always dreamed of being a mother, and I still think about that comment made years ago when my boyfriend brings up the children topic. My dad and stepmom adopted a baby girl, and my stepsister overheard my dad talking about how excited he is to adopt a girl because he's never had a daughter. Absolutely crushed my stepsister. She thought of my dad like her own father. He's been all she's known. I was at school and I was called out of lesson because one of my friends was crying her eyes out. The teacher said she only felt comfortable telling me what was wrong, and then my friend didn't want to say it out loud, so all she said was, "I told you before." It was then I realized that my friend said, "When we were on a school trip I tried to kill myself once." It completely flew over my head at the time and I feel so bad for it. Then I had to tell the teacher because I didn't want her doing anything stupid over the weekend. I then had to sit in sort of a therapy session with her where I had to hear how she tried to jump off a bridge. It was so heartbreaking, but I had to keep myself together. It's horrible what children at the age of 12 try to do and why they do it. They shouldn't feel that way. I had a close friend group and I left to go put something up. I came back and heard them say annoying, so I of course asked who or what was annoying. They said you. Me, I said. Completely crushed me. They also told me that no one really likes me. Yeah, that really did it, and I'm a lot different now. I'm also kind of glad that happened because now I'm a lot different. When my grandpa told me I wasn't good enough, I was always never a girly girl, but not quite a tomboy. I was really close to him, but he was old school. As I grew up he started to realize that I wasn't changing in the right way. He kept telling me to use my lady voice, to sit ladylike, eat ladylike, and do ladylike things. He had enough when he saw me with my animals being not gentle, when they were stubborn and getting dirty and liking it. He got mad and yelled at me after when no one was around. It hurt because always thought he would love me no matter what. Then I found out that there were conditions to his love. An ex-girlfriend who left me allegedly because she wants to pay more attention to herself. Self-development. Does not want a relationship. It would seem normal at that moment. I understood her, but after 2 days I found out that she had a new boyfriend. I work in diagnostic imaging at a hospital, and our facility deals with a lot of terminal or very ill patients that are fighting for their lives and come to us for monitoring of the progression of their issues in that environment. Naturally, we have some very morose and soul-crushing conversations with patients, especially when a lot of them are tired of fighting and being in pain and are barely hanging on. The first thing that comes to mind is a woman a few months ago that had been fighting with cancer for a very long time and was in for a court scan of her latest cancerous threat, which I think was metastatic lung cancer. She had horrible veins from being dehydrated and extensive chemotherapy, and we barely established and for 3 difficult bloody attempts later. Before we gave her contrast, I told her, as always, that we have to acknowledge that there's always a chance she could have a life-threatening reaction to the dye, but she would be sent to urgent care immediately in the worst case scenario for emergency treatment, and I need your permission to carry on. She kind of quietly laughed and said she had the dye so many times that she wasn't worried at all. She looked like she wanted to say something else, so I gave her a few seconds and she finally turned to me and said, "You know what? If I do react, I don't want you to save me. I'm so tired. Maybe it's for the best if I go that way instead of my illness finishing the job. Yeah, please just let me pass if that happens. I really don't want the treatment. Just let me go, okay?" I told her that I don't have a choice and I have to call for help, whether you want it or not. but I can certainly make her wishes known to the emergency physician in that scenario, and that dying like that would be absolutely horrible, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. She told me I've had enough of cancer. Any other way would suit me just fine by now. I guess we will see what happens. I've had a lot of people in a lot of pain tell me they would rather die in many different ways, but I felt like I saw in that moment when she finally decided she had had enough and considered having an anaphylactic reaction to our dye as a reasonable alternative to finally dying to cancer, and it really stuck with me. I lived on an Alaskan island for a summer job, so lived with all cowhawkers. I was upstairs, and I overheard everyone downstairs having a sort of conference about my snoring. People defending me against my roommate. Everyone on the island knew I snored because of her, but she never talked to me, so I could buy nasal strips or something after that got tested. Turns out I have severe sleep apnea and now use a CPAP. It was so embarrassing, and it was crushing, because I couldn't do anything about it, and I felt so bad. About 5 months into my relationship with my now ex-boyfriend, he pulled me aside from a conversation I was having with my mates. I was like, "What's up?" "Nothing. I just don't know if I trust you around others anymore." This guy was paranoid that I would leave him, that he didn't want me having friends or going anywhere without constantly talking to him 24/7. He was even more worried because I'm attracted to both genders, meaning there was double the threat in his words. That relationship went on for about 10 months, and about 5 months too long. I have difficulties reaching out to people, but I'm very lonely. I have a few friends I've known since I was 13, and we hang out off and on throughout the year. One day I saw that a brewery in our area was having a film night where they show movies on a big inflatable screen in front of the bar. I was excited about it because they were showing Beetlejuice, because it was October and it's one of my favorite movies. I didn't want to go alone, so I worked up the courage to ask a couple friends if they wanted to go with me. I even told them they could bring other people and we could make it a group thing. One of my friends said they'd come because they'd never seen Beetlejuice before. So we met up, and he brought another person along. So not really a group, but I'm always down to meet new people, and I thought the guy was a little dumb, but nice enough and entertaining. We got drinks beforehand and my friend mentioned in passing that he'd broken up with a longtime girlfriend, and I was shocked. They'd been together for like 10 years. So I said I was so sorry that happened, and he said he wasn't, so I dropped it. I figured if he needed to talk about it he would. I had a lovely time. I enjoyed watching Beetlejuice in an audience, and I love watching movies with people who haven't seen them yet. I like their reactions. We chatted about the movie as it happened, and when it ended I even suggested we meet up again the next time they played a good movie. I gave my friend a goodbye hug and left feeling pretty good about the outing and proud of myself for making it happen. Then I found out a few weeks later that my friend and the guy he brought had been stalking me to a mutual friend. He was bragging about how desperate I acted after I found out him and his girlfriend split up, and how I was so obviously into him that it was pathetic. It completely crushed my spirit. All I'd wanted was a nice time out watching one of my favorite movies with a friend who'd never seen it. I don't flirt well, and I would have never tried when he was so recently broken up with. Plus I have a boyfriend I've lived with for 4 years. I got so angry and embarrassed when I found out how he talked about me that I cried and didn't get over it for weeks. I never confronted my friend either. He still doesn't know that I know. I haven't tried to organize any kind of outing with anyone since, and I've never gone back to that brewery or its movie nights.